Welcome back. We're continuing our study in the Gospel according to Matthew. In Matthew chapter 2, we just completed Matthew chapter 1, and now we're starting Matthew chapter 2. We saw the lineage of the Messiah, we saw the circumstances surrounding his conception, and now we're going to see his birth in chapter 2 of the Gospel according to Matthew. So let's go over to Matthew chapter 2. Well, first, let's go back to Revelation first. You know, Revelation chapter 12. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 12 first. Because Revelation chapter 12 also tells us the circumstances surrounding his birth. Revelation chapter 12. And again, Revelation chapter 12 also tells us that the Messiah comes from Israel, right? So Israel is the birthplace of Messiah. It's like, brethren, even like worldly scientists say that the origin of man is in the continent of Africa. Have you ever heard that? That even worldly scientists mostly agree that the origin of man comes from the continent of Africa. Isn't that, you heard that? So that, like, if that's true, then all the peoples of the earth come from the black man. Like, the black man is the original man, the melanated man, the so-called black man is the original man, and all the peoples of the earth originate with him. So if that's the case, why can any group of people rise up and say they're the greatest people? Like, how can any child of your fet say we're the greatest people, we're the discoverers of everything, when they are the children of Adam? And Adam was a melanated man. It's kind of strange, isn't it? Well, the chosen people originate with Israel, the bloodline of Jacob. So how could anybody, either you have to be a fake Israelite, try to make yourself that you're not, or B, you have got to discount or just erase that they are the chosen ones of the Father. Because you can't get around that. The Bible, if you're reading the Bible, the Bible shows you they're the chosen people. So here in Revelation chapter 12, it gives us, in just a few verses, actually, it gives us the situation regarding Messiah. And let's look at Revelation chapter 12, and let's go from verse 1 down to verse 4. This is Revelation chapter 12 from verse 1 to verse 4. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So the woman is 12 stars, is Israel, 12 tribes. That's the woman. The woman was giving birth to a man child that was to rule all nations. That's Messiah. And the great red dragon was going to try to kill him as soon as he was born. So whichever entity we find in the scriptures trying to kill the Messiah is representing the great red dragon. Is that correct? Testing 1, 2, 3. Does that make sense to y'all? So in other words, you have Israel giving birth to the Messiah. Okay? You have this great red dragon that wants to kill him as soon as he's born. So I want you to please in this scenario, the great red dragon is not Israel. Do we understand that? I mean, right? Because you have the woman being Israel. She giving birth to Messiah, but this great red dragon is not Israel, and it wants to kill Messiah. So we can see the woman being Israel. Well, who is this great red dragon that's not Israel that wants to kill the Messiah? That's interesting, isn't it? Also, we need to take into account a couple of prophecies for some witnesses. Ezekiel chapter 36. Ezekiel chapter 36. Ezekiel 36. And let's say verse 5, 6, and 7 of Ezekiel 36, 5, 6, and 7. Well, great. Let me start at verse 1 and go down to verse 7 of Ezekiel 36, if you don't mind. Let me start at verse 1 of Ezekiel 36 and go down to verse 7 because I think it gives us more context. So let's take a look. Also, thou son of man, prophecy unto the mountains of Israel. Prophecy to the mountains of Israel, son of man, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, because the enemy hath said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. So the enemies of Israel are going to take the ancient high places in their possession. Wait a minute. Make sure we understand that. So the enemies of Israel, not Israel, but the enemies of Israel are going to take the ancient high places as their possession. Okay? Therefore prophesy and say, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen. So Israel was going to be a possession. They were going to be possessed or taken over by the residue of the heathen. Now, of course, in our day, we can clearly see that. But this is prophecy. It goes through history. So wait a minute. And ye are taken up in the lips of talkers and are an infamy of the people. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Most High Yahweh. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh to the mountains and to the hills, to the rivers and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy I have spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Edomia. Question. Who is Edomia again? Yo, quiz question. Who is Edomia? Who is that? He said, therefore, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Edomia. Edomia is Edom. So it's counting Edom, even though Edom is a Hebrew, it's counting Edom with the heathen. Y'all catching that? It's counting Esau and his people with the heathen. It says, I have spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Edomia, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful mind, to cast it out for a prey. Prophecy, therefore, concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains and to the hills, to the rivers and to the valleys, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, behold, I've spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. Therefore, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, I have lifted up my hand, surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. So apparently, a combination of straight Gentile heathens and Edomites with them would be taking possession of the Father's land. Apparently. And of course, we know there's two prophecies I mentioned. There's one. And of course, we all know Genesis, Noah's prophecy from thousands of years ago. Noah's prophecy in Genesis chapter 9. Genesis chapter 9. I want you to notice this very closely. Okay, watch this now. This stuff in here people overlook. And you and I know people overlook. We've been studying the word of the Most High. But look, what should it say? Genesis chapter 9. I'm going to begin at verse 23 and go down to verse 27. Genesis chapter 9, 23 to 27. Watch. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it both on both their shoulders and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan or Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. So he said, Canaan, the youngest son of Ham, is going to be a servant of servants. And he said, Blessed be the Most High Yahweh of Shem. Notice he said, Blessed be the God, the Most High Yahweh of Shem. So Shem is going to be serving the Most High Yah. Okay, blessed be the Most High Yah of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Then verse 27, and Yah shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. He didn't say, he didn't say, blessed be the Most High Yah of Japheth. He said, blessed be the Most High Yah of Shem. But of Japheth, he said, I'm going to enlarge Japheth, and Canaan's going to be his servant. And he shall dwell in Shem's tents. So you have Japheth dwelling in Shem's tents, but not being blessed by the Most High Yah of Shem. Then we had the residue of the heathen and Edom taking over the father's land and encircling his people. One more. Watch this. In Daniel chapter 10. You remember in Daniel chapter 10, where the angel Gabriel was being sent to Daniel, and it took him 3 weeks to get to Daniel. You remember that? It took him 3 weeks to get to Daniel, and he explained why it took him 3 weeks to get there. Okay, notice Daniel chapter 10. Let's see. First, let's read the 3-week part. From Daniel chapter 10, verses 1 to 3. Okay, Daniel chapter 10, verses 1 to 3. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar. And the thing was true, but the time appointed was long, and he understood the thing and had understanding of the vision. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. So he was in mourning. He was feeling sad. He was melancholy for 3 weeks. Didn't eat no good food, didn't drink no wine, wasn't feeling happy at all for 3 full weeks. Okay, then of course we know he saw a vision. And now here comes Gabriel, and he said, verse 11, Daniel chapter 10, verse 11. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, from the first day that thou didst set thy heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy Most High, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Mikael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. And notice again, when you come back down, scroll down to when you get to verse 20, then said he unto me, Knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee? Now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia, and when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. Now wait, prince of Persia, prince of Grecia, Who's that? Was he really fighting with Alexander the Great, or was he fighting with, the kings of Persia to get to Daniel? No, the king of Persia and the king of Greece represent Asatan, who was fighting with Gabriel as he was on his way to Daniel. So that the Bible is here using heathen nations as representing Asatan. Does that make sense, y'all? So it's using heathen and Edomites together and their nations as representing Asatan. Again, because now, of course, his people is Israel. He only got one people. So he has, and the mountains of Israel are his people. Okay, so now Daniel is an Israelite of Judah, and now Gabriel is being sent with a message from the Messiah and from the Father, and he's been fighting with Asatan, who's representing first Persia, and then after the Medes and the Persians came the Greeks. Y'all got me? Okay, everybody there? All right, now let's go to Matthew chapter 2. Okay, and we got the circumstances surrounding the birth of Mashiach Yahushua. Matthew chapter 2. Okay, Matthew chapter 2. I love the scripture, man. The scripture exposes all the plans of the enemy, exposes what the future is going to be. The future and things it exposes are laid out for us so that we are understanding of everything. We don't need to worry about things. We know that the Father's kingdom of Messiah is about to be established. We know the circumstances surrounding it is showing us everything. Simply this word is amazing. Praise the Most High Yah. Showing us everything. No man could take credit for 66 divisions of a volume that tells you 7,000 years of history before it happens. No man could do that. Okay, praise the Most High. Matthew chapter 2, beginning at verse 1. Now, when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. Now, where's Brother Curry at? Is he here? Curry, you here, Joe? Well, okay, I'm going to give you all, here's a question. They said they saw his star from the east. Where were they coming from? These kings. They said they saw his star from the east and are come to worship him. Where were they coming from? No, they were coming from the east. It said we saw his star. So they were in the east and they saw his star. See, it said, for we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. So they were coming from the east. Okay, now, the east of Jerusalem at that time, the east of Jerusalem, you got to look at a little geographic, but if you know where Jerusalem is and where Israel is in that part of the world, if you go east, where are you headed to? When you go east there, where's the farthest point east you could go? Let me put it that way. Where does east end? That's the question. Where does east end and west begin again? That's right. So these people were coming from some section of Asia. And if you remember at that time, you had Asia and you had Asia Minor. Even to this day, people in India, if you ask them, they're called Asians. They're Asians. Okay. People in India are Asians. And of course, there's Far East Asia. We know all of those countries representing Asia. And it comes from the Asians come from China in the north, all the way down to Malaysia and Indonesia. They're all Asians. And then, of course, you got the Philippines. And then you head west from there, you're coming through more Asians, which is the India is still Asian, considered Asian. And you know how I found that out? When I was in the Northern Virginia area, most of the people there that I saw were East Indian. And I was talking to one of them, and he was describing somebody, and he said, they're Asian. And in my mind, I think Asian, that's like Chinese. Where you see? And he was talking about somebody from India. He said, they're Asian. And I said, oh, you talking India? Yes, they're Asian. That's Asia too, he said. I didn't. So So the people coming from the east to see Messiah are most likely of some Asian origin. Does that make sense, y'all? They're most likely from some Asian origin. They were coming to see Messiah. And they said, we're come to worship him, right? So they come from some Asian origin. Now, one thing you would notice here, did it tell you how many kings there were? Did it say there were 3? Did it tell you there were 3? Did it say how many kings there were? It didn't ever say that, did it? And yet, in all of these depictions of the baby Jesus, you see 3 kings. And they make that because of the gifts of myrrh, frankincense, and gold. But that doesn't necessarily mean there were 3 kings. They all brought that stuff. That don't mean there were only 3 kings. That don't mean there were even 3. We don't even know. They said they came kings from the east. And they said, no, they didn't even say king. They said wise men came from the east. That's right. Let me not even add to it. They didn't even say they were kings. They said they were wise men. That's right. Wise men came from the east. They didn't say how many. And they said they came because they saw his star in the east and they were coming to worship him. Where is he that is born King of the Jews? We have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. Okay, so we see what happened. Okay, all right. Now, verse 3, Matthew chapter 2, verse 3. So we don't know how many there was. They didn't say they were kings. They said they were wise men and they were coming to worship Messiah. Well, they could have been. That's right. Only one way. They could have been. That's right. You know, because what they say, they're coming to worship Messiah, right? Brother Joe Curry, I got a question for you that I think you're going to help us with. You ready? Brother Joe Curry, can you hear me? I got a question. I think I got a question now. Teacher got a question. Brother Joe Curry, are you ready? Teacher got a question. So Brother Joe Curry, we're reading Matthew chapter 2. And it said, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. Brother Joe Curry, what nationality, what group of people were coming from the east to worship the Messiah? What do you think, Brother Joe Curry? Can we say they were Asians? Brother Joe Curry, can I say that? That's the question. And I say they were probably Asian people coming from the east to worship the Messiah. And yes, and Asians, right? And they were not only that, they probably, what's brother say? Where's that brother say? I saw something too. Hold on. They were wise men, didn't say they were kings either. And somebody said they might have been Hebrews of origin. That's right. Only one way. So because Edom was a Hebrew, so was Moab was a Hebrew, and Ammon was a Hebrew. Why? Because they came from the stock of Lot, who was the stock of Abraham's brother, who was Hebrew. So they could have been Hebrews, right? But they were coming to worship the King of the Jews, the King of Yahudi, or the Yahudim, or the Yahadim, or as some people say, the Yahawadim, the Yahawadim. They were coming to worship the King of the Yahawadim. And they now didn't say they were kings, though. It said they were 3. It didn't even say they were 3. See, I'm getting caught up in the brainwashing too. It was wise men. That's all it said. Wise men came from the east to Jerusalem, and they saw his star in the east and are come to worship him. Now, verse 3. Let's go now. Now we're in Matthew chapter 2, verse 3. Ready? When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. When Herod the king heard wise men come from the east saying, where is he born King of the Jews? Because we saw his star in the east. He was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Now, why would Herod be troubled at the prospect of the King of the Jews being born? Why would Herod be troubled at that? And how come he didn't already know about this? How come he wasn't expecting That's right, because he knew the game would be up. The possible end of the Edomite Empire in Jerusalem. Here we had Romans and Edomites, just like the Bible showed us in Ezekiel. The heathen round about you and the Romans are taking your land. And so he was like, what's going on here? So now verse 4, notice what he did. Verse 4. That's right. There were no prophets to tell him nothing. Okay, verse 4. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together. So now he didn't know nothing because he was following Judaism. What would he know? Ain't no spirit following him. So now he goes and he gets the Hebrew Israelite by blood brothers. And he said, he demanded of them where Messiah should be born. You would think somebody that would study the scripture would know this. No, he studied religion. Brethren, let me tell you something. There is a difference between this here and religion. Religion is man-made. This here is breathed by the Most High. If you take away from this or add to it, what do you have? Religion. You do not have the Most High. Let me tell you something. I think you already know. The Most High Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, is not a religion. He's not a religion. The creator, just to try to limit him and call him a religion, it's almost disrespectful. You understand? It's like, you're going to limit the creator into a religion? Seriously? That's man trying to control and be God. Y'all see that? That's man. That's man. The Most High said, I've chosen a nation. And he said, the nation is not the Most High. He said, I chose the nation. I chose the nation. The nation is not the Most High. The nation gives honor to the Most High that chose them and named them himself. So to try to make a religion, a Judaism, a Islam, or Christianity, and say that's of the Most High because they Abrahamic, that's disrespectful to the Father and his word. Disrespectful. But see, that's why Edom couldn't see it, because Edom was dealing with religion. They weren't dealing with Father Yah. They weren't going to get nothing. And look, that's why, isn't that why the Bible say the return of Messiah will come on the heathen as a thief? But it's not going to come on us as a thief. He said, you're not among them. That you don't need to, it's not going to come on you as a thief, but it's going to come on them as a thief. Just like this here. The birth of the Messiah came on Herod as a thief. Did it not? He's like, wait, what? King of the Jews? What are you talking about? And so he calls Hebrew Israelites. And he said, where does the scriptures of the Hebrews say this man is supposed to be born? Okay. That's right. Under the control of religion. And look, you would think, well, the Bible does show us, in Luke especially, that there were Hebrew Israelite men and women who the Spirit has shown Messiah is going to be born now. He's coming now. And you're going to see him. There was Simeon, there was Anna. Remember that? They all were shown in the Spirit that the Father's Messiah was going to be born. And they were waiting for him. They knew him. One said, okay, now I can depart in peace. I've seen him. See? Well, brethren, let me tell you something. Something hasn't changed. What hasn't changed? He's still going to let his servants know the return of Messiah. And we know this. He's already shown us in the scriptures. But to the heathen, even if you were to tell them, they wouldn't believe it. Look, they're telling Herod. Watch. Look, in chapter 2 of Matthew, verse 5. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Now, what did Herod do with that information? Did he set everything up and said, let's have a celebration of the return of Messiah? No, he said, no, we're not going to allow no Messiah to take away my power, my kingdom, my authority. Isn't that what happened when the scribes and Pharisees of man-made Jews religion with Herod and with Pilate got together and decided, hey, listen, we can't let this guy mess up our nation and our place and our authority here. Can't let everybody be following him. We got to kill him. brethren, there's things that have not changed at all, brethren, not changed at all. In other words, today, if you were to tell them, this is Messiah getting ready to come in the fall, he's a melanated man. His melanated people are the true Israelites. The more the power of the Spirit comes with those words, the more is going to fulfill what the Bible tells us. Whosoever would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Yep, that's right. They'll laugh at us for now until the power of the Spirit attends our words. See, that's why the Father said we need the latter rain, because that's what causes us to be taken seriously. The presence of the Father's Spirit causes us to be taken. That's why they would laugh at us. But once they realize that this is for real, they're going to want to kill us. And Asatan is going to incite them. Whosoever would not worship the image should be killed. And this is the name of the beast or the number of his name, the three unclean spirits, 666. Man as God, man-made religion, man as God. And when you expose that and you tell them the truth, either like GD said, either they'll laugh at you or they're going to want to kill you. But one thing they ain't going to do is surrender to the truth. That we know. Bible's showing us. Herod is a sign, an Edomite king that's ruling over Yah's chosen ones. Yah's chosen ones helping him because they're following religion. Brethren, some things have never changed. Isn't that right? Some things have just never changed. We still have Edomites ruling over the land of Israel. We still have Edomites ruling with the king of the north, who is Christianity, ruling the earth. We still have that. Hasn't changed. Okay? Hasn't changed. Here we are. Verse 7. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. Verse 8. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child. And when you have found him, bring me word again that I may come and worship him also. And you know, and I know, he had no intention of worshiping the Messiah. He just wanted to know location. Can we get a location on the Messiah? And that was for bad, intentions. Okay, bad intentions. Can we get a location on the Messiah? Find him, and when you locate him, let me know where he is. I want to worship him too. Okay, liars, right? Good. Verse 9. And when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. So the star led them to where Messiah was. Messiah wasn't a baby when they found him. They did not come and find him in a manger with three wise kings with gifts. They did not come and find him in a manger because he wasn't a baby. He was a toddler. Notice, where's the child? The child, a toddler, not a baby, a child. Again, Messiah wasn't in the manger when they came and found him. When the shepherds found him, he was in the manger. But when the wise men found him, he was at least 2 years old. Okay, he was at least 2 years old. See, now, let's see, verse 10. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, into what? It didn't say a manger. Did you notice that? Verse 11. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. Gold and frankincense and myrrh. They worshipped him. He was in a house with his mother and his father, and they came and they worshipped him. The star led them to there. Now, you would think everybody would see this star, but not everybody did. Or if they did, you would think they would inquire, what is this? But you had people that were looking for him. to return or to appear. And they saw it. Nothing has changed, brethren. What are we doing now? We're being prepared for the return of Messiah. We're being prepared to stand before him. We're being prepared to enter into his kingdom with blessing and joy. And we are looking for him. There are people claiming to be looking for him, but they're not looking for him. They're looking for a child of Yafet with long hair and pale skin and blue eyes. That's not him. They're not looking for him. We are looking for the Hebrew Israelite of the tribe of Judah. That's what we're looking for. Okay? We're looking for the son of the Father, and the man that's going to be king of the chosen people of the Father. That's who we're looking for. There's two different looks there. Okay? Two different looks. That's right. Praise the Most High. All right. Verse 14, they offered up the gifts. They didn't say there were 3 kings. They said they were wise men. They didn't say how many there were. Okay. Verse 12, and being warned of Yahweh in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of Yahweh appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. So it's a lot here. First of all, let's start at the end. Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. So now we know who's representing the great red dragon, don't we? Right? So we see the one with the 12 stars representing Israel. And then we see a great red dragon wanting to devour the child as soon as it was born. The great red dragon, Asatan, is being represented here as Herod. So Herod was not an Israelite, right? Because if he was an Israelite, he wouldn't be represented as a great red dragon. Does that make sense here? So he's the king of a heathen group of people who the Bible tells us is Edom. The Bible tells us when you see Revelation 12, Israel's the woman. Israel's not the great red dragon. So the great red dragon is representing something else. Well, who was it that wanted to devour him? Herod. So either Herod was a Roman or he was an Edomite. Well, we know he wasn't a Roman. He was appointed by the Romans, but he wasn't a Roman. So now he's an Edomite. We know who he is now. The Bible shows us he's an Edomite and he wants to devour the child. He's an Edomite ruling over Israel. And we don't have to even guess or imagine that can't happen, because we have Edomites ruling over Israel now, don't we? With man-made Jews religion, don't we? Not hard to see. Praise the Most High. Right? So now, where did they flee to? They fled to what the Bible is telling us is Egypt. But the real name is not Egypt. That's the name that the Greeks gave to that land. That land is called Mizraim, and it's on a continent that we now call Africa. So the angel of Yahweh was sent to Joseph and said, take your child to Africa and hide there until I bring you word again. Take your child and go to Africa until I bring you back word again. Of course, Israelites have had a long history with Africa, haven't we? Because we went there with Abraham went there, Isaac and Jacob went there. Jacob went there and stayed there for at least, Jacob's children stayed there 192 years by my calculation, almost 200 years. Then they came out of there. And every time they had a problem, they ended up going back there. So they have a long association with Mizraim. Also, we know Cush, who now is called Ethiopia, has several bloodline mixes in Israel. Do they not? Including 2 tribes of Joseph, who are the children of the African woman that he had the babies with. Joseph had 2 babies with that woman that was in Mizraim. So it's very interesting to think that somebody can go to Africa and be spending centuries in Africa and come out looking like, I don't know, come out looking like, I don't know, say Cesar Borgia. Somebody can come out looking like Cesar Borgia after spending centuries in Africa and mixing with the Africans. So you're going to come out looking like Cesar Borgia, Michelangelo. Does that make sense? How is that? So the Father going to tell you, man, you pale white, you as white as a sheet. So go hide in Africa. No, but so you look closer. You look like, you know, Cesar Borgia. And what I want you to do is I want you to take the young Caucasian child and go down into Africa and stay there and hide there. So nobody knows that he's the child, because he's gonna not stand out, because I want you hiding among them, the Africans. Wow, it's amazing, isn't it, brethren? So now we see in this one verse the long history between the Israelites and the children of Ham, including a very similar appearance to the children of Ham. Okay. Then we also see who the great red dragon, who's representing the great red dragon here, is Herod. Okay. Verse 14. And when he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which is spoken of Yahweh by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt I have called my son. Out of Egypt I have called my son. There you go. So, and of course, we knew Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian. Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian. The whole 12 tribes, when they came to bury Jacob, was mistaken for Egyptians. And so we know that there's a very similar appearance between the children of Israel and Egyptians, or Mizraim. Very similar. And we know also that there's mixtures of people from Ethiopia or Cush that are mixed in with Israel, right? So we know now that Israel, just by what we look at in today's vernacular, we would say that the bloodline is a melanated people. Does that make sense, young? The bloodline is a melanated people. It is not European. It is not from Yafet. It is melanated. Okay. All right. Praise the Most High. Now, watch this. Verse 16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So 2 years they had been watching this star. So the Messiah was at least 2 years old when they saw him, right? So he was at least 2 years old. So this man went through and killed babies trying to get to the Messiah. He went and killed babies in the kingdom he was supposed to be king in. He goes and kills the babies of the Israelites. Then, of course, again, as we know, that is not new. It has been done before, and it's been done since. We know this. And so, in fact, we know that in Egypt, Pharaoh said, if it's a male, throw it in the river. If it's a female, you can keep it alive. But if it's a male, throw it in the river, feed it to the alligators. Okay, I'm down here in Florida, and they also have in their history feeding Hebrews to alligators. Not new. It's not nothing that that they just started. Nothing new under the sun. So here's Herod killing baby Israelites. Okay, there it is right there. So, brethren, we can see that. And we see the whole picture now. The Romans on one side, the heathen, and the Edomites on the other side, they're working together against Israel. And they're ruling over Israel for now. Praise the Most High. Verse 17. Then was fulfilled that which is spoken by, this says Jeremy, but it's Jeremiah, Jeremiah, the prophet, saying, in Ramah there was a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and would not be comforted because they are not. Why does it use, let me ask you, here's another Bible question. Why did they say Rachel? Why did they use Rachel in terms of Bethlehem? Why did they use Rachel weeping for her children? Rachel was the mother of Joseph and Benjamin. Why did they use Rachel? Yeah, okay, let's look at Jeremiah 31. That's good. GD, praise Most High. Let's look at Jeremiah 31. Jeremiah 31. Well, that's where the prophecy comes from. He's right. But why was Rachel's name? Yeah, thank you. That's right. Because that's where Jacob buried her. She died having Benjamin, as we know, and Jacob buried her there in Bethlehem. It's interesting. He buried her in Bethlehem, but he buried Leah right next to him in the cave where his father and mother were buried, and where his grandfather and his grandmother were buried. You know, so he buried Leah next to him, but he buried Rachel in Bethlehem. Yes, thank you. So Jeremiah chapter 31. It begins at verse 15. Jeremiah 31:15. Thus saith Yahweh, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rachel weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children because they were not. Yeah. So they killed children in trying to kill our Messiah. Shows you how far, again, we should not be surprised at how far the enemy will go to kill us, to stop us. And why? Why was he so afraid of Messiah? Revelation 12 showed us, because he was to rule all nations with the rod of iron. He was caught up to Father Yah in his throne, and he was ordained to rule all nations. Therefore, he's a threat to our Satan's desire to be the Most High. And by extension, we're a threat because we belong to him. So our awakening is a threat to the established power. Okay? Always will be. Praise the Most High. Okay? That is why you cannot be a friend in Satan's system and a friend of Yah at the same time. You're going to end up having to do just like what Elijah or Allah said. Choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether Baal or Yahweh. You can't be in both camps. So a lot of the entertainers and the athletes, entertainers, and all the entertainers that make all of this money in Satan's kingdom, everybody's going to have to make a choice of who they're going to serve. It'll come down to it. That's right. Everybody's got to make a choice. Eventually, all people of the planet will be brought. People that are alive right now going to be brought to make a choice. You got to make a choice who you're going to serve. It's going to be very plain for everybody. Okay, so we're going to see how this works out, but the Most High has already showed us there'll be a remedy. Okay, all right. Verse 19. It looks like we'll finish chapter 2. But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of Yahweh appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead, which sought the young child's life. And he arose and took the young child and his mother and came into the land of Israel. And when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither. And notwithstanding being warned of Yahweh in the dream, he turned aside into parts of Galilee. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet, he shall be called a Nazarene. There you have it, a Nazarene. And we know what the Nazarite vow is. A Nazarene, praise the Most High. So now, brethren, Um, we're going to continue reading chapter 3, but not today. But look, now we got who the great red dragon is represented by, who the children of Israel having him represented by, right? Joseph and Mary, that they went into Africa and stayed there. They didn't even tell you how many years they were there. Like, we don't know how old Messiah was. He was still a child, but it doesn't tell you how old he was when they came back to the land. Doesn't tell you how many wise men they were. People guess with these things, but it doesn't tell you. It didn't tell us that. It didn't tell us all of that stuff. It told us that he was at least 2 years old when the wise men found him. He was at least 2 years old. That's right. If he was a Nazarene, he would have locks. That's right. He would have had to not cut his hair. But I do have a question about that. Nazarite wasn't supposed to drink wine. Messiah drank wine. Right? Nazarite, under that vow, not supposed to drink wine. So was he a Nazarene because he was from Nazareth? Or was he under a Nazarite vow? Because the thing about the Nazarites, they're not supposed to drink no wine. Messiah drank wine, right? Or even have fruit of the grape, right? Right? So Messiah did drink wine with the publicans. He drank wine with the publicans. He said, the Son of Man has come eating and drinking. You call him a wine bibber. Yeah, it was in, let me see. I think it's in this very book of Matthew. Remember, he said, the Son of Man has come eating and drinking, and you call him a wine bibber and a friend of publicans and sinners. So he said he was drinking wine. So he drank wine. He just didn't drink it that night with the disciples because he said, I'm going to drink it with you in the kingdom. But he did drink wine at some point, and they called him a wine bibber. Okay. But so I don't know. I'm thinking Nazarene is because he was from Nazareth, right? Nazareth. He's from Nazareth in Galilee. So they call him Nazarene. Okay. But we'll study that out further. Yeah. Because a Nazarite lets his hair grow, but he doesn't drink wine during the time of his vow. He does not drink wine. Okay. But Messiah did drink wine. Yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll figure this out as we continue. We're still learning, brethren. That's the thing about it. All of us are learning, right? And how do we learn? At the feet of our Heavenly Father, by His Spirit in His Word. That's how we learn. And we've learned a lot, praise the Most High. By just doing that, we've learned a lot. Praise the Most High. So we're going to come into chapter 3 next and continue that and look at the gospel according to Matthew. Yeah, we just study the word and we get the truth from out of the word. We dig out the truth out of the word, and the Spirit of the Father. That's right. By revelation, give us the truth. Praise the Most High. We cast out all of our previous learning from the world, from religion, and we're looking straight at the Father, straight at as His chosen people in the word, and getting the truth. Praise the Most High. All right, brethren. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May He cause His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may He lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. Praise the Most High, y'all. Let's keep praying for each other. Shalom, family.